Hey everyone, I'm Hotep, the goddess astrologer and alchemical initiatrix. This is the weekly astrology, the weekly astrology forecast for this week of March 6th through the 12th. We have massive changes happening this week. Really happy to bring this forecast to you. So let's get into this week and share all of the goodness with you. I just did a Pisces sun sign horoscopes video, not Pisces, the Virgo sun sign horoscopes for you for this Virgo full moon happening on Tuesday, ruled by Mercury and Pisces, the Saturn moving into Pisces less than an hour after. So let's dig into this week. Let me switch this up real quick here. All right, perfect. I hope you all are doing amazing. And so with this Monday, really taking it now, we have to remember our evolutionary guidance is this Scorpio Taurus polarity, the nodes. Remember that Scorpio is ruled by Mars and by Pluto. Pluto is destruction and transformation, and Mars is cutting away. And so this is very much cutting away and destruction, and it's the psychodramas, it's the complexities. The gifts of Scorpio are to bring the fact that we're healers, magicians, our psychic gifts and abilities, that connection to the truth behind the veils, and are doing that psychological inner work rather than being in the psychology, the psychodramas, and cutting away and disconnecting from people because of shadow projections and trigger blaming and these types of things. Taurus is about building and growing relationships. Obviously, we're not talking about narcissistic or abusive relationships. We never want to do work on our thoughts to feel better about abuse, but so often people are disconnecting because of their own shadow and triggers and projections. And we want to realize that the Taurus North Node is our guiding star, saying, hey, it's about building and growing. This is about simplicity. I'm hungry. I eat. I'm tired. I sleep. I feel the heart. I know that I have my own internal work to be doing. So this is that guidance, right? And we have Pluto at the 29th degree mark at Capricorn. Capricorn is all of our structures. So governmental structures, all of the industrial complexes, education, pharmaceutical, the government industrial complexes, right? Where there's these big organizing bodies that's been controlling humanity for a really long time and really not disclosing the truth about who we are and where we come from and our intergalactic beingness, and that we have a DNA strand that has all of this this interference during all of the years of our evolution from about 25 different intergalactic beings. And so we have all of these possibilities in our DNA and all of these beings watching Earth and this evolution that we're currently in, because the light is returning to the planet. But we must really be in that 5D, high frequency, high consciousness. A lot of the beings live in that fifth dimensional zone. We are in 3D bodies. So we are in this 3D world and 3D bodies, but our consciousness can be in all of the dimensions and possibilities. And we want to be in those high frequencies so we can really make massive shifts, radiate our light to keep working through this evolution, helping others to rise out of being dominated by those old paradigms and that old dominator model and system. We're also working to reharmonize our feminine and masculine principles in this planet. We do have a dualistic universe that we live in. Other universes operate in other principles, but this universe is dualistic. It's not necessarily a negative thing, but is our dualism happening from separation or from unity? And is that unity happening from conformity or from diversity? And so, do you consider yourself a world citizen? Do you consider yourself a galactic citizen? And are you connecting to this greater sense of the whole? And how many of us Soul Tribe are coming together and connecting heart and lifting each other up, helping each other rise, supporting each other through the difficulty of this ascension process and this accelerated evolution. we have Saturn at this last degrees of Aquarius. So these two planets at the last degrees that are changing this month. Pluto changing on the 23rd of March and Saturn changing on Tuesday, right after this full moon in Virgo. And so the universe is speaking so loudly to us, so loudly to us. This is what my guides really wanted to come through and say for this week, is that this has been a long journey of, we have been going through these different full moon cycles that I've been tracking, of where we have been understanding that the 12 signs are these deep archetypes of areas of life that we experience. They explain areas of life. They help us to understand ourselves and the cosmos and the world better. And they each relate to an aspect of ourselves and an area of life that we experience. So areas about our ego and our identity and our life force energy, and about that ability to take action in the world and initiate things. Taurus about our sense of self-value and our sense of our ability to create value in the world, and therefore abundance, self-worth, money, and also what makes life worthy. And Taurus is also love, because it's Venus. Venus is love. And Gemini about our mind, and are we being controlled by our mind and letting our mind drive the bus? All those same old thoughts we've thought over and over again. Or are we being conscious and controlling our mind and really an agency of our mind, and so forth. So we've been really having these new moons repeat from 2018 to 2019, where we had all of these full moons from 1 degrees and mostly 0 degrees from Aries to Libra. So it's like we're cleaning out and purging this Aries to Libra area of the zodiac, the identity all the way to Libra relationships and partnerships. And then we're going to have that nodal axis change to no longer being this Taurus Scorpio. This summer, it's going to change that Aries Libra polarity and axis this summer. I think this is a really big deal. I think we've been cleaning out this area of the zodiac for a long time and flushing out, going through massive shadow changes, healing, purging, shifting. All of these full moons from September 24th, 2018 to April 19th, 2019, from Aries to Libra, we're all at either 1 degree or 0 degrees. It's new beginnings. And these are full moons. So it's the peaking, the illumination of the moon, meaning that it's illuminating wounds and issues and shadow for us to have completion and transformation and beginning, the alpha and omega. It's kind of like Pluto, where it's that death and that rebirth, that completion. Pisces is also this completion and this renewal. And there's always this cyclical renewal. We're programmed in the old paradigm growing up to think that there's not cyclical renewal, but there is. Everything's at cyclical renewal. The seasons, the sun, the revolution of the planets revolving, just the precession of the equinox, and so on. And so then we had all of these. What's funny too is that we had all of these full moons. I believe they were full from March 18th, 2022. Actually, from October 2021 to March 18th, 2022. So October 2021 to March 18th, 2022, last year, we had all of these full moons at the 27-degree mark, which breaks down to a 9, meaning completion. And it was the Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo. So it didn't go up to Libra, which is interesting. But what's interesting is that those full moons that we had in 2019, we had a Libra at 29 degrees. And then we had a Libra at 0 degrees. So the alpha and the omega in the area of relationships, and how we relate to everything, all of life. Then we've had the last 7 full moons, including the Libra one coming up April 5th. At 16 degrees, which breaks down to a 7. So 7 full moons at 16 degrees, breaking down to a 7. 7, Neptune's number, the number of soul. And so we had all of these cleaning out full moons from September 2018 to April of 2019, from Aries to Libra, that section of the zodiac, from our identity, the area that we master ourselves before we go out into the world. So from Aries to Virgo, it's all about self-mastery. We get to that Virgo and we are in this self-masterful place, and then we're like, okay, let's serve the people. And then we go to Libra, relationships, and on around, going out into the world and really interacting, having intimacy, partnerships, building things, leaving legacies, working in collaboration with other people. It's about humanity and higher issues of life. And then we have these full moons since October 9th of last year to coming up on April 5th would be the 7th one at the 16-degree mark, breaking down to that 7. So all of these full moons are soul. So how do we take Aries back to soul? How do we take our ego back to soul? Being motivated by soul. How do we initiate based on soul? How do we take action on soul? Taurus, how do we take it back to soul? That our value system is about soul, that our value system is for our soul rather than our ego, is for ourselves and our own authority rather than for what somebody else outside of ourselves tells us. What about Gemini? How can we take the mind being motivated by soul and intuition and feeling rather than by only the programming and the same old chewed gum thoughts we have over and over again? Cancer, how can we take that archetype of our home, our security, our sense of foundation and roots, and our emotional seascape, and how can we take that and bring it back to soul? How can it be motivated by soul, connect soul? How can it be that our soul matters so much? And then there's the spirit, soul, matter, spirit, that trinity, the spirit being the part of us that can separate from the body, the soul coming into the body, and this trinity, right? And so the Leo archetype, full moon, how can us mattering, being important, sharing our gifts, standing in our confidence and being on stage and performing in our business and our life, in our confidence and belief, self-belief in our work, what we have to contribute, but from soul, from love and heart, which takes vulnerability, which takes healing. And instead of from hubris and pride and arrogance, which is that shadow Leo. And our Virgo, how can we take our Virgo, not driven by this mechanistic separation from spirit, which happened in 1874 to 1882, where Wundt and Pavlov, these psychologists and scientists, got together and were really talking about removing soul from scientific experimentation, which, if done consciously, it's not that something's inherently wrong, right? Our universe works on duality, on opposition. So it's not that something's inherently wrong. It's the way we went about it, that somebody else decided what everybody was to do. Everyone had no choice. Otherwise they had choice, but if they wanted to get published or cited, they had to remove the soul. And then it just became this autopiloted thing where it's like, and then it became this real mechanistic, and quantum mechanics opened that back up and got us connected back to the higher truths, the positive conscious side of Sagittarius, right? And so that Virgo are we just Virgoing day to day? I got to get it done, doing all the routines and schedules that aren't unsouled, that aren't run on the Pisces, that have no purpose but just to get another task completed, to do the same day we did yesterday. That's just different costumes, different sets and setting. But what's the real purpose? What's the meaning in that? And so is our Virgo quality of our life run on soul? And then April 5th, we'll have this Libra full moon, 16 degrees, breaking down to that 7, asking us, are our relationships or the way we relate to life, ourself, our body, food, agriculture, money, etc., coming from soul, motivated by soul, spirit, something higher truth, heart? Or is it motivated by all those old competition, hierarchy, power, that inferiority issue humans have, which makes people behave in that superiority, haughty kind of way that just disconnects us so much and keeps people in that hierarchy, Hollywood sold to us, spoon-fed to us, keeping up with the Joneses, meaninglessness of life that isn't actually life, that it's a program, it's an assembly line. It's meaningless. It's nothing. It's insignificant. And so these moons hearken to the universe is speaking to us so loudly. And then we've had all of these new moons at the 0 degree mark saying that we're having new beginnings in the archetypes of Sag, higher truth, Capricorn, our structures, our wizenedness, our earth wisdom. Are we that Capricorn shadow of the industrial fascists of work hard? I don't work hard. I work inspired. I don't believe in hard work. That's a spell. It's a program. Are you going to keep doing that? A lot of people are very committed to that, but why? What is their motivation? And who's around them? Are the people around them in superiority issues and low self-worth, or are the people around them empowered and uplifted? And so this idea of this earth wisdom, Capricorn, the wisest one, the aged tree, that's that Capricorn. Capricorn's the elder, the wise elder of the zodiac, right? And so it's that earth wisdom of lived life experience, which wisdom is not book knowledge and a bunch of concepts. A lot of people lately have been hearing a lot of people saying, I know this, I understand that, and spouting all these concepts, but concepts are not applicational in your life that you're living it, that you're living those concepts. You can know a lot of things, but how useless is that unless you live it? And so that Capricorn new moon and then the Aquarius new moon, so that frequency upgrade, that cleaning out our frequency for the higher frequencies based on soul, spirit. And the Pisces new moon we just had, and the electric psychic upgrades, really cleaning out the shadow and subconscious places, past life issues, and just these completions and beginnings. And then we have this Aries 0 degrees new moon coming up with the spring equinox, the beginning of the zodiacal new year, and then Pluto moving into Aquarius, you know, the collective humanity, higher humanitarian principles right after that zodiacal new year, that Aries new moon and the spring equinox. Wow, how powerful is this? The universe is speaking so loudly to us, saying, bring it back to heart, bring it back to soul. Are you in your heart? Are you in high frequency? Are you doing the inner healing? Or are you in those trigger projections, shadow blaming, wounds, trauma, seeing the world through your wounds and traumas because you're not managing your brain, because you're not feeling and healing and releasing emotions? We must be able to work with the full range of human emotions to have emotional mastery. And so on this Monday, this Aries energy here, all this Aries energy is about the autonomy and the sovereignty, and about taking action autonomously, not being told by some authority and looking to somebody about what do I do? What do I do? There is that natural propensity within humanity to like, just tell me what to do and I'll feel better. I'll do it. But like, no, like, can you initiate? Can you take action and feel freedom and autonomy? Because Aquarius, the Aquarius season, Pluto moving into Aquarius is freedom, non-conformity. And so Mercury in Pisces, the sun, this is Pisces season. This isn't just any Pisces season, and Neptune at home in Pisces, about our world soul, and also about the programming, the illusions that keep veiling most of the populace, but the en masse awakenings that we're having, that people are rising and awakening everywhere to these programs and spells and this false idea that we're the only ones in the solar system. I mean, how preposterous is that? There's intergalactic civilizations everywhere. We live in a multiverse. The James Webb Telescope has finally proven this, if you needed the scientific evidence. But if you just study the span across all of the people have brought work forward for years, and the different, you know, Buddhism and Taoism and all of these different bodies of work you can see the threads of truth, the consensus. So it's like, is there going to be a consensus reality? Because the powers of opposition don't want that, don't want there to be a consensus reality amongst most of the population. And so the rest of us who are awakened, all arguing and not doing the inner healing and at different places in the awakening and arguing and trigger projecting and blaming, this is not helping humanity. We need to be the leaders standing up in our leadership and doing the inner work ourselves, healing ourselves. I'll tell you, I just came off 8 months. I have a lot of people say to me that I've been healing for 2 decades or whatever, but they just came out of a 16-year marriage of narcissistic abuse. Well, no, I think you've been doing inner work, but that's not healing. Now the healing begins. Now you're out from underneath the abuse. And so this last 8 years, I've done the healing work and spiritual work and all of the stuff for my whole life. It's just been, that's been my part of my chart, part of who I am, my work, my mission in this world, et cetera, in this incarnation. And so, but the last 8 months was this massive healing that I undertook. And I was on my knees at times. I was, wailing to the walls. It was dark. It was hard. It was challenging. I didn't want to be here a lot of the time. And there are gifts when you do this, because that baseline of healing where you're not triggered all the time, where the shadow comes up and you recognize it as the shadow, and you have the tools and techniques that actually are effective to handle it, to know how to work with your emotional seascape. I must have cried like 3 times today, this full moon, bringing up stuff, but it's not taking me down, taking me out. It doesn't take me off track of my work. And so where are you at in that healing journey? The healing is so profound and so important. And so this moon with this quintile to Chiron and Aries, our autonomy, and having come off last week with that Venus-Jupiter conjunction, that Saturn-Mercury conjunction, all showing us our wounds right in our face, showing us our challenges right in our face, and showing us, hey, you have the tools. You can stand up in your autonomy, use your tools, and face the healing. If you're beginning on that journey, or if you have it, if you just keep pushing the healing away and saying, no, I've been doing all the spiritual work, but have you actually healed? These are different things. And so the moon in Virgo, getting ready to move to that 16-degree mark for that full moon early Tuesday morning, is saying this quintile, all of that galactic, beautiful downloads coming in, flow and creativity and help from our guides, from our support, from the other intergalactic beings that are benevolent, that want for life, for the forces of opposition to stop being this domination over humanity, and for humanity to be sovereign beings, to join in as galactic citizens and realizing who we really are and how powerful we are. And on the spiritual journey, sometimes realizing just how powerful you are can be space your face, consciousness melting. It can be a lot of cognitive dissonance and just like, fuck, I don't even know if I can be here, if I can do this, right? And the journey can also be quite lonely. Not knowing if there's other people out you that really co-sign your same narrative, and the rest of the population are stuck in the matrix being sheeple, and you're out here like, fuck, it's hard out here for a pen, right? So this Monday, I think this quintile is one of the most important things to show us we have so much help from our guides, from our ancestors. My ancestors say they call themselves spirit. I don't use spirit to refer to a godlike supposed, there's no God. I knew deities were bullshit in my gut when I was forced to go to church as like a 6 or 7 year old. I was like, this is bullshit. I just knew it in my gut because I was so awake at that age, but everything in my family and around me in society just try to shove that veil over me and shove my intuition down and say, no, it's not right. And all of this. And then I went through this life that I went through to learn everything my soul needed to learn to evolve. One of the interesting things about this semi-square from Mars to Lilith, that masculine principle and that empowered, light-bringing feminine principle, they coming back together, Mars and Gemini cutting away from the old masculine, toxic masculinity. Gemini is that rewiring. the two hemispheres of the brain, and then working in unison together, and not being out of balance with the left brain being too dominant. And that Mars energy, our energy of the masculine, but also our energy that activates us, propels us, that we initiate, that life force energy, being cleared out, rewired for something higher. This Uranus on this world point, I talked about the earthquakes happening in Turkey on the 6th of February, and the aftershocks on the 22nd, and how the aftershocks, it takes a while for the seismic activity to go back to the baseline. So there could be aftershocks for even months or years after. And how Turkey used to be Constantinople, what's now Istanbul, and how this earthquake on this world point happening with Uranus at 15 degrees, how it takes these big shocks of things to awaken people. And how this area of the world, it's interesting that it's getting this big shock, this big awakening, this chance for maybe lots of en masse awakening to occur, because the places that were hardest hit were the places of the most poverty, and those were the people that voted in the current I don't know what they call their representative, president, whatever, over there, but voted him in 2018. And so this is fascinating of like, is there going to be a lot of spiritual awakening? Because in Constantinople in 869 to 870, spirit was taken out of the trinity of body, spirit, soul, and made into a mythology, a metaphor. And this, elite group said, no, the people, the common people must be controlled and disconnected from their power. It's always about disconnecting us from our power. Other organizing bodies, narcissists, psychopaths, sociopaths, these other people saying humanity must be controlled and dominated and not have their own power and sovereignty. So is this area of the world going to get this en masse awakening rolling out? Because it often takes natural disasters and horrible things, unfortunately, to shake us out of our entrainment to being dominated and giving over our power. And it often takes things to shake us up. Pluto on destroying the old structures, Capricorn, that are based upon power and greed and control and domination and hierarchy. I'm going to go into this full moon and the rest of the week. And so if you want to get the rest of the weekly update and more information, you can join us in the Light Goddess Sisterhood Facebook group. It is free, and there's 36 hours of free masterclass content where I teach the tools that we use in Light Goddess to manage our minds, handle our emotions, and there'll be so much more activity going on in there, and I'll be doing some channeling sessions with my guides and so much more. And so if you'd like to get the rest of the weekly update, join us over at Facebook. The link is below this video in Light Goddess Sisterhood. It's for women. It is for divine feminine soulpreneurs. It is for you women who are light bringers, who are visionaries, who are doing the inner work, who want to join together in female community, and really being in our hearts to help each other rise together, change this world, and have fun and make money and change this world. So join us over there. Click the link below to join the Light Goddess Sisterhood Facebook group for free. And you can watch the rest of this weekly update. For everyone in the Facebook group, let's continue on. One last thing for people on YouTube, just going to let you know that the Light Goddess podcast will have a new episode out on Thursday, and then there's already one loaded up for Friday. The podcast used to be daily. I love supporting you daily, encouraging you, lifting you up, just reminding you to stay in that high frequency, just reminding you to get in your heart and to run your life on your feminine intuition and your joy, and not let yourself be confused by those programs, which we just are dismantling them from within our psyche soul, and it takes a lot. And so there's 2 fresh new episodes all about trigger blaming and shadow projection and the challenges there. So the link is below for the podcast. You can subscribe and then you'll get all the latest episodes. And there's going to be some more new episodes coming out soon. So for everybody in YouTube, thank you for being here. Really appreciate you. And if you want to continue watching the rest of the weekly update, join us in the Light Goddess Facebook group, link below. Okay, everyone. For those of you in the Facebook group, let's continue on with this weekly update. So what's so important about Monday here, something else is just